He kept saying his wife was waiting at the table. The mask on the street kept perfect distance, and the bride at the swings sang off-key from a second-floor window. I was 11 when Dad got transferred. We landed on the edge of Santa Fe where the wind learned to whisper through Ocotillo and fences learned to stop talking back. Everyone called it the quiet corner, not the historic plaza, not the galleries. Just a grid of sleepy ranch houses and a park that collected dead leaves like secrets. On Halloween, the quiet corner stopped pretending. Masks opened doors, candy crossed borders, and the smallest things, like a porch with no pumpkins, became a dare. I didn't know then that the quiet corner had rules, that if you break one, the corner breaks you back. Part 1. The dinner guest. By 9, the young kids were home. Only the big kids, me, Mateo, and Asher, still hunted full-size bars. We cut through the park to sort the hall and spotted a house across the field. No jack-o'-lanterns, no cobwebs, just shutter slats hanging like broken ribs. Mateo said, "That place." "Off limits," Asher added. "Guy's name is Fred. People say he buried his wife." I snorted. People say a lot when they're bored. The smell met us first, like a dead mouse behind drywall, sweet and wrong. I rang anyway. SFX, brittle doorbell. A chain clinks. The door cracked open. A tall man filled the space, hair to his shoulders, beard not sure what it wanted to be, eyes that had trouble landing. He was holding an old wood-handled axe, head rusted like dried clay. "Trick or treat," I managed. His smile started late and traveled slow. Of course. Something special. He disappeared inside, leaving the door ajar and the porch light buzzing like a trapped moth. We waited. From inside, a low voice. A second voice. Too soft, too far back to catch. Asher leaned toward the opening. Mateo grabbed his sleeve. Curiosity beat both of them. We peered into a slice of living room. Dust, curtains, and a dining table set for two. Tall candles, 2 plates, a bottle of wine breathing alone. The man returned with 3 king-size bars. The good kind. "Here you go, boys." Mateo couldn't help it. "You having a party?" The man's smile widened until it meant something else. A special dinner. For Susie and me. She's been waiting. "Susie?" I asked, my voice the size of a breadcrumb. He opened the door wide, like we were neighbors again. That's when we saw her. At the far end of the table, a woman sat in a formal dress from a decade nobody missed. Her skin had sunk into her bones, the way a bed memorizes you after a long illness. Her lips were threaded shut with dark twine. Above them, where eyes should live, the sockets glistened with something slow and moving. Rice that wasn't rice. The candles wobbled their little flames, and the things inside her sockets crawled. SFX. A small wet crawl, fly buzz, candle crackle. "Isn't she beautiful?" the man said. "Never leaves, never argues, never grows old." The sound that came out of us wasn't a scream. It was a rope snapping. We ran, through the park, down the block. We didn't stop until streetlights changed color and our lungs warned us about prison breaks. When we finally collapsed near my mailbox, I looked at the candy bar in my hand like it had grown teeth. It went into the trash. The other 2 followed. We didn't tell. What would we tell? That the quiet corner sets tables? We tried to sleep. We didn't. The next morning, the house was just another silence on the street. No squad cars, no tape, no candle soot on the windows. In school, we avoided the word dinner. Rules, I learned later, don't hang on doors. They hide in your feet. Rule 1. If a house has no pumpkins, keep walking. It took me a year to know the second. Part 1. The dinner guest. A year aged me wrong. I went out with my little sister instead of my friends. Patricia with glitter wings and a fairy wand that couldn't answer for itself. Mom and Dad stayed home to hand out candy. It felt safe. Rows of porches glowing like choir boys. A street practicing joy. We were 3 houses in when I noticed the figure under the streetlight. White face, featureless, dark coveralls. Not a licensed slasher. Not a costume you could get cease and desisted for. Just a human shape, tall and too still. "Look," Patricia said, showing me her prize. "Big candy." "Awesome," I said, but the word was busy. The white face hadn't moved closer, but it hadn't faded either. We crossed to another house. The figure remained. Same distance, angle adjusted. A coincidence could do that once, not 6 times. "Why isn't he getting candy?" my sister asked. "Maybe he's watching his kids," I lied, scanning for kids and finding only noise. SFX. Footsteps slowly matching yours on pavement. After the 7th house, I said, "Time to head home, Patty. But we'll come back with Mom and Dad." We turned. The footsteps turned. Not close, not far, measured. The figure kept a neat, unnatural gap, as if walking on tape marks we couldn't see. I sped up. The footsteps mimed mine. I slowed down. So did they. There's a line between prank and study. He was on the wrong side of it. "Ryan, you're squeezing," Patricia whispered. I let go a little without letting go at all. "We're going to walk faster." "No running." "Not yet." SFX, a metallic clink, light catching steel. The streetlight kissed the thing in his hand. Metal, long, kitchen bright. Not a prop foam blade. It had weight. "Run," I said, losing the rest of the sentence on purpose. We sprinted. Patricia's wings snagged on the world, mailboxes, twigs, Halloween itself. Boots pounded behind us, heavy, regular, obedient to no heartbeat. A breath came through the mask, louder, closer, a groan turned into wind. My sister stumbled. I scooped her up. The wand snapped under my shoe. Our door was 3 houses away. Keys didn't exist in the same universe as my fingers. I hit the knob wrong twice, right once, then shoved Patricia inside and kicked the door shut. Locks stuttered into place like teeth. Dad grabbed the bat by muscle memory. Mom called 911 with hands that practiced dialing before they touched the phone. Dad stepped outside. The street was quiet as a framed photograph. He came back with a question on his face I couldn't answer. 20 minutes later, the patrol car made the neighborhood feel both safer and silly. An officer took notes. "Probably someone trying to spook you," he said. "It's that kind of night." He promised extra passes. He left. At sunrise, Dad found 3 vertical gouges on our mailbox. Deep, fresh, exact. Like a counting game that had lost patience at 2. We didn't go out that evening to finish trick-or-treating. Patricia woke twice screaming, then calmed down only when Mom lay beside her, listening to the air for footsteps that didn't own a body. Rule 2. If a face stays the same distance no matter what you do, don't test the math. Get inside. We'd lived long enough to break Rule 3, the 3rd Halloween. I wasn't allowed out at all. Grounded. Trash duty neglected had stacked into a parent joke that wasn't a joke. I listened from my window as the street performed the ritual without me. Costumes flapping, wrappers crinkling, laughter that wouldn't involve me. By 10, the quiet corner put its mask back on. The air had the flavor of a dare again. I put on last year's costume, patched vampire, and slipped out the back. Willow Park at night isn't a place. It's a question on legs. The swings are older than memory. The sandbox breeds glass. The city says, "Improvement's coming," on a sign that's learned to take weather personally. That's where I saw her. A woman sat on the middle swing in a wedding dress that had been clean once and had stopped trying. The hem dragged the ground like something tired. Her hair hung like seaweed in a jar. She rocked. The chain creaked without the wind's permission. She hummed, off-key, like a kid faking what they don't care to learn. A nursery rhyme I knew, and suddenly didn't want to know. Ring around the... I didn't let the title finish in my head. The swing stopped. Not slowed, stopped. Like the air itself had pinched the chain. She lifted her face. The skin was pale in a way that wasn't color, only absence. The eyes weren't dead as much as wrong, too steady. Her smile had too many teeth for the space. "Come here, little boy," she said softly. "Come play with Sarah." Sarah's been so lonely, my legs forgot all verbs. She stood, and the dress lifted enough to show a ribbon of bruised flesh circling her neck, like a necklace made of last choices. "I said come here," she hissed. The hiss wasn't volume, it was direction, straight into the bone behind my ear. The spell broke. I ran. SFX, fabric dragging asphalt, a laugh too close to your left ear. I felt the wet hem of the dress brush my shoe. I heard the laugh right over my shoulder. The pillowcase of candy disappeared from my hand like it owed me money. Back home, I slid through the rear door, more rumor than boy. Upstairs, under the blanket, I learned that cotton has a weight limit. SFX, faint hum returns, nails on glass. Slow I peeked. She was at my window on the second floor, veil pressed to the glass, hair spread like cracks in ice. Nothing below her. No ladder, no tree, just night. "Ring around the rosy," she sang, fogging the pain, drawing a heart in the steam with a fingernail the color of old pennies. Pocket full of posies. I tried to call my parents and discovered I was using the wrong century. My throat had been unplugged from my mouth. She tapped the glass with the nail. Tap, 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 counting time until courage died. "Ashes, ashes." She smiled too wide and let the last line fall like a penny dropped into a well. We all fall down. I must have slept. Morning found me instead of the other way around. On the window frame, caught in a splinter, something white fluttered. A triangle of veil stained the color of dried apology. I didn't tell. I couldn't. Adults live in a language you can't translate without losing the monster. Later, through a friend of a friend, I learned that a decade ago, a bride had been found in Willow Park, left at the altar, then left by life. The paper said she'd hung herself from the swing set. Her name was Sarah, and the quiet corner had remembered it. Rule 3. If a song you learned in kindergarten starts singing you back, don't answer. Don't look. Don't open. Years pass differently where you're scared. We moved the next spring. Dad said, promotion. Mom called it a shorter commute. I called it not here. But leaving a place and leaving what it taught you aren't the same verb. On my last night in the quiet corner, I went back to the park at dusk with a cheap bouquet and the veil square folded in my pocket. I set the flowers down under the middle swing. I held the veil piece and said, "Sarah Mitchell, I'm sorry. I didn't come because you asked. I came because I didn't listen sooner. I hope you weren't always alone." The wind moved the swings, and for a beat they creaked in harmony. 3 notes, like a question mark for a choir. On my way home, I stopped in front of Fred's place. Boards up and now, foreclosure notice stapled to a lean-to of paint. Through a crack, I saw the dining table, dusty and set for no one. 2 plates, 2 glasses, no candles. A shadow tracked the wall, shoulders too big for any man, and hair that fell like the idea of hair. In the corner, a dark spot pulsed. Flies orbiting a memory they refused to release. I understood too late that none of this had ever belonged to one person. The quiet corner was a single creature, and it fed a certain way. It made dinner for the lonely. It taught footsteps to mimic footsteps. It took nursery rhymes and turned them into keys. And it used names because names were doors. We left at dawn. The mailbox scars stayed for the new family. I wish I could say I never looked back. I didn't, not with my head. but my bones held a rear view. In the next town, Halloween came again, smaller without meaning to be. I was older, but fear ages better than love. Patricia dressed as a doctor and stabbed the air with a plastic syringe. She laughed. We all did, because that's what doors sound like when they try to keep the right things in. That night, after everyone slept, I stepped onto our new porch and let the air introduce itself. Somewhere far away, a swing chain remembered a note. Somewhere closer, a boot remembered a rhythm. I looked at the pumpkins we had carved and thought about rules. Rule 1. Don't knock where Halloween refused to land. Rule 2. If distance behaves, it's stalking. Rule 3. Don't let a rhyme finish in your mouth. I added a fourth that night, one I'd learned by accident walking away. If a place has a secret, don't volunteer to be part of it. Stories want mouths. Legends want addresses. I went inside, locked the door, set a bowl of candy next to the couch just in case a kid came late and needed to believe adults are worth the trouble. SFX, inside lamp, clicks off. Wind soft, one far dog bark. End tone.